You are now listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Time for Band 9. Hello there, IELTS students. In this tutorial, we are going to focus on speaking accurately and fluently, and we're going to zoom in on IELTS speaking part 2. We're going to listen to one of my current private students, and at the end of the call, at the end of the tutorial, I will share some information about how you can get started if you're interested in working with me. And if you are a self-study student, in this tutorial, we're going to review a cue card answer, and I'm going to share advice because it's highly likely that you might be in the same situation as my current student. So the advice that I'm going to share with my review of this cue card will definitely help you. We've got some real practical strategies and advice in store for you to help you prepare for your cue card. So let's jump into it. This cue card is all about an event, okay? And the student has to talk about an important event. So it's describe an important event in your life. You should say what the event was, where it happened, when it happened, and explain why it was important to you. Now, the student talks about her trip to London, and she was there for about 2.5 months. And honestly, I don't think this is exactly what the cue card wanted. You can repurpose this trip, or in her case, she could repurpose this trip and really emphasize that the whole trip was an important event in her life. However, it's a trip and it's not specifically an event. An important event would be more like a graduation. Okay, this was an important event, or it might be, I don't know, the christening of your child, or the christening of a niece or a family friend, or it could be an important event could be, I don't know, when you realized that one of your parents were ill, or maybe one of your parents was going abroad or whatever, okay, and they were leaving. That's like a more concrete event. So in this case, she wanted to talk about her trip to London, and you would have to really emphasize that the whole trip was an important event, or just focusing on one part of that trip, sort of like at the airport and leaving. And this was a very important event because you were leaving your family, you're going abroad alone, and it's the first time you would be living away from your family, and so on and so forth. So let's just jump into it. And I'll just give you the cue card again so you've got it fresh in your mind. Describe an important event in your life. You should say what the event was, where it happened, when it happened, explain why it was an important event for you. So let's just listen to her answer.
So I would like to tell to you about one of the important experience that I did.
So here, I would like to tell you, okay, it's much better if you have some set phrases, and this is what I'm going to teach the student in the next class. I would like to tell you about a recent event in my life, or a recent important event. Just a set phrase like this, copy paste, and then we've got a new tense. I would like to. You don't have to think about what you're going to say or how you're going to start, but I would like to tell you about, I would like to describe an important event in my life. And we're already on track because I would like to tell you is okay, but it's not perfect. So and then there's another part. So one of the important experiences, not that I did, that I experienced, one of the important experiences in my life would be the perfect way of saying that.
This happened more or less 6 months ago. and it was located in London.
That's great. We've got a time reference there and we've got the past simple. This happened more or less 6 months ago. And I emphasized this after we were working during the class. Sorry, after she finished, I emphasized it.
It was the first trip that I did alone in my life, and it was scared, but at the same time,
It was scared.
No. It was scared, but at the same time important.
No, Valentina, we have to say I was scared.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was scared about it,
Okay.
but after,
Okay, so I rarely do that. I rarely interrupt the student when they are speaking. However, in this case, it was like the second time, and I needed to just correct it, nip it in the bud, so to speak.
I understood that was very important, significant and important for me, for the things that I understood during that trip.
Okay, that it was very important. Now, this was a recurring problem throughout most of the class where we forgot to put the actual subject in there. So I've got some exercises prepared for her now, and we're going to drill this. It's probably going to be quite intense. It's going to be quite boring for for her. However, that's the goal of the class is just to improve the accuracy. And then once we've improved the accuracy, we can work on the fluency. But unless we sort out the accuracy first, it's going to be it's going to be difficult. Well, there's no point improving the fluency.
Such as confidence, self-confidence, and making new friends in an easier way.
You can see the student here is quite hesitant because they're looking for not only the vocabulary, but they're also putting a lot of stress on themselves to speak accurately, which is fine. And this is why with my students, we focus on one or two of we either focus on accuracy or fluency. There's no point trying to do it both at the same time because it often overloads the student and has negative consequences. So the other thing that I want to mention here is we have the opportunity for a list. She said, because it helped my self-confidence, it improved my ability to make friends. When we have the opportunity for a list, what I often tell my students is that we can really sort of like fill out the cue card answer by listing maybe 3, maybe even 5, and just get some really good quality topic specific vocabulary in there. So in this case, it could be, I improved my confidence regarding making new friends. I improved my self-awareness. And generally speaking, it was an incredibly beneficial experience for my self-development. Okay, for my own self-development. And what we do there is we just drill home one idea. We've given examples, and now we go to town, so to speak. We go to town. We emphasize this experience by giving three possible examples of the benefits of this and why.
In an easier way, and be open-minded in the comfort of new situation.
The phrase open-minded, I mean, I can understand what was trying to be said here, but the correct version would be, it really opened my mind, or it really made me open-minded going forward in life. And what we will do now with Valentina is, in my notes, we're just going to drill the use of open-minded. So I will be asking her about 20 questions, all with the phrase open-minded. And we're not just going to do it once and forget about it. We're just going to keep on doing it every class. And obviously, we're not going to spend 12 minutes every class doing it. But the next class, I'm going to just spend a couple of minutes along with some of the other errors, and we just keep compounding it. So, we get that frequency, we get that repetition. And as you've heard me say before, repetition is the mother of all learning. So let's carry on.
Okay, I don't know what to say anymore.
Okay, so that the cue card ended a bit early, but if we just look at it from an exam skills point of view, we very vaguely covered what the event was, where it happened, when it happened, and explained why it was important to you. We touched on each one, but ideally, we're saying more for each point, and we're working methodically through the cue card to make sure we are answering every single point. And this is why giving a list, when you give an example, if we can just give a list of 3 or 4 points, it just helps us build not only a more interesting answer, but a fuller, more complete answer. So where it happened in London, in the south of London, and I was at this school, and the school had lots of different students from lots of different nationalities. You see? So we just build it out. And we could even say, for example, there were Argentinians, there were Brazilians, and I think there was even a few Saudis there. Again, we're just giving an example. And even with that example, we've shown that we can use adjectives of nationality, and it just helps paint a more colourful picture. And all of this I will share with my students. In this example, though, in this class, we just focused on the language because I think this was more important. And then once you've got the language skills, we can start working on exam skills, such as giving a little list, such as giving an example, such as giving more detailed examples, and then such as explaining our examples when it happened. For example, the next bullet point, when it happened roughly 6 months ago. I think this is what the student said, it happened 6 months ago. How do we expand that? It was in the summer and the weather was just simply amazing, and it really contributed to the overall experience at the time. Yeah? So we're just going in there, we're giving details, we're boosting our vocabulary score because we're going broader. And then again, explain why it was important to you. The essential word here is because. It was extremely important for me. It was extremely significant, if we want to use synonyms, because I developed new skills such as how to make friends. I made new relationships, and I'm still in contact with these people today. And I learned a lot about how to broaden my horizons, how to become more open-minded. And I honestly felt like I grew as a person, largely thanks to this event that happened to me in summer in London last year. Okay, so we've got some more details there. We've expanded our talk, and it just makes it a lot easier now for the examiner to give you the points, especially if you're working through them methodically. Okay, and in the next class with this student, I'll probably share a framework for her to use, and the framework will probably be like explain, give a because, then give an example, and then at another point, when you do give the example or you've given another example, expand it with a little list, and then share the details. And another technique that we'll probably be working on is just trying to envision, just trying to, close your eyes and just remember the details of the trip. We could even talk about a friend. Why was it important for you? Well, it was extremely important for me because I met a new Brazilian friend, and she explained a lot to me about her culture, and it really broadened my horizons. It was a truly memorable experience. You see? And this, obviously, we're not just going to, these skills that we'll be covering in the next class, as well as the language skills, but they can be applied to any cue card, and that's the value you get. You apply it to one cue card, you can just as easily apply it to the next one. And what it does is it gives you a structure, and you don't have to think about what you're going to say. Well, you do have to think, but you don't have to think about how you're going to say it, because you've learned this structure, you've learned this framework, and it all just seems more natural, and it boosts your confidence because now you know you've got little phrases I would like to tell you about. Yeah? And the other phrase I'm going to tell the student is, and that's my talk about an important event in my life. I hope you liked it. Smile. Okay, just little phrases like this, and then we can avoid the awkwardness of I don't know what to say. I finished. Yeah, we just finish it on a elegant note with a smile that's going to help you boost your confidence. It's going to help the examiner. They know now that we can move on to part 3. So these are all the practical, not all, it's a very tip of the iceberg, but these are some skills that we're going to be focusing on in the next class. And as I said, in this time for Band 9 promotion that we're running at the moment, we've got a couple of students already signed up. They're working with me. They are booking classes. We're moving forward, and there's still some spaces left. So if you're interested, sign up to the email list. Go to IELTSPodcast.com, and the first email that you receive will, at the bottom of the email, there's going to be some more information about the Time for Band 9 private classes that we're now running. And as I said, there's a few spaces left. So if you're interested, then go to IELTSPodcast.com, sign up, and we can move forward together. And by the way, just one last thing. Your class may be used in a future podcast just like this one. But don't worry, you're not going to be internet famous. I won't share your name unless you want me to. We can talk about that later. All right. Good luck with your IELTS exam, and have a beautiful day. And I wish you all the best. Just keep moving and you will get there.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.